So, Kenzie, can you tell us a little bit about your tiny home and what inspired you to choose this lifestyle?
Yes, like I was saying, I could go on to tiny home, talking about tiny homes forever, but the reason I chose to live in a tiny home was the freedom that it's given me. I don't have any house bills. I don't have to worry about, maintaining a huge home. I'm a single mom, and so it's easier for me to, close the house up if I want to take a vacation and not worry about it falling apart or the furnace breaking or things like that while I'm away. And I'm a little bit of a nomad, and so my house is on wheels, and so if I want to move it anywhere, I completely can. I'm not stuck in one place.
That's awesome. I love that. What are some key benefits you've experienced from living in a tiny home?
Well, specifically with having a solar system, I don't know when the power goes out, like the city power, because I live next to my parents' house, and they have come down before and said, "Hey, is your power out?" And they're like, "Oh wait, your power can't go out." And I tell them, come down and use whatever power you need, use my microwave, we can watch TV together until your power comes back on. And so it's been really nice that way to have the convenience, and as long as the sun's out, I'm good. I'm good with that.
I bet that is comforting. I love that.
Yeah, and tiny house living is just, it's free. I don't have a lot of junk. When I go shopping, I think about the things that I'm gonna buy a lot more. I'm a lot more mindful about the things I bring into my space because my space is so limited. We were at the store the other day and there was something that I wanted. It was just definitely not a need, but a want. And I thought, is there a place I can store it in this home? And there wasn't. And so I says, it doesn't come into my life.
Perfect. That's great. How important is sustainability and energy efficiency in your day-to-day life?
It's very important because, like I say, I like to just close up the house and leave and go travel and things like that. And so I know that if the sun is shining, my house is going to operate because of my solar system. I know that the fridge is going to work, and that's really the main thing. When I leave, the fridge is the only thing I really need to continue working. And so I know that my solar system is going to take care of that. But I'm of the type of person who I don't like to just have a whole bunch of stuff and it's going to end up in the landfill. So I'm mindful of that, and so tiny house living has helped me be even more mindful of that, because I lived in a bigger home before, and I found that if I had a room that would accommodate something, I would buy the thing even if I didn't really need it. And then it sits there and gathers dust, or it ends up in the landfill, and that's just not what I want to contribute to our planet.
That's great. How did you first hear about Point Zero Energy, and what made you choose their solar panels and generator for your tiny home?
Well, I used to live in Weston, Idaho, which is where Sherry and Dave Willis live, and they are the owners of the company. And so I learned about solar through them. I had talked to them about building the tiny house and what it would be required to have the solar system. And I actually had looked at other systems, but I didn't understand the technicalities behind it. I didn't know how many panels I would need, how many batteries I would need. And because I knew them personally, I knew that they would answer any of my questions and they wouldn't sell me something that I didn't need. And I think even if I didn't know them, they would have done that for me, because I've had to call in, different times with questions about my system, and I don't speak with them directly every time. But the people I talk to are very knowledgeable, and they're going to tell me exactly what I need to know without me having to be very technically versed on what the solar system can do.
Perfect. Can you walk us through your experience with installing the Point Zero Energy solar system in your tiny home?
Sure. So my dad did the electrical work in the tiny house, and so he actually talked with Dave a bit in regards to what needed to be done, because he's only wired houses that, traditional houses. So we figured out how to set up the panels, the best angle for the sun, and how to bring the wiring into the tiny house. And so my dad hooked all that up, and then we have it connected where the sun will actually charge the batteries of the solar system, and then the Titan inverter gives the power to the house for anything that I need to operate. I haven't been able to not operate anything based on the system. I haven't had any limitations yet in regards to that.
How has using Point Zero Energy's products impacted your lifestyle? And what differences have you noticed?
I think it's impacted my lifestyle because I don't worry about, like city power. Like I mentioned with my parents running out of power, or, the power going out. I don't ever worry about that. And so it's just, I love, like, there's a display on my system that tells me the numbers, what's coming in, what's going out, what percentage the battery is charged. And I like to nerd out on that and watch what's happening, especially in the winter. In the summer, I don't watch it so much because I know it's going to be fully charged. But in the winter, when we have poor weather for several days in a row, I'm a little more mindful of, the numbers on there so that we don't run out of power. If I see that it's getting low and it's nighttime, I might not run the microwave for 10 minutes like I would otherwise, you know? And so I think that it's just been helpful in knowing that I'm safe and I'm secure with my system.
Have you encountered any challenges with the solar system, and how did Point Zero Energy help you address them?
One challenge that I had was I had a breaker that kept popping. I was trying to run the microwave and the air fryer, and there was something else. I was trying to run them all at the same time. And so the breaker popped, and that was completely my fault because it was just an overload. And so I contacted them and I said, hey, what am I doing wrong? And they explained that. And I said, okay, well, maybe I don't need to use everything I have at the same moment. So there came a time where I needed to replace that breaker. And so I just contacted them and they replaced that for me. You know, no grief or anything. They made it very easy for me to get that part fixed.
That's cool. How reliable have you found the Point Zero Energy products in powering your home, especially in different weather conditions?
Super reliable. Yeah, they're in the wintertime. I do sometimes have to hook up to a generator or plug into an alternate source. But other than that, like I say, I just keep a track on the numbers, and so I know how much I have left, and if I need to plug in or turn on the generator and give some supplemental charge to the solar system.
Would you recommend Point Zero Energy's products to others who are considering off-grid living or sustainable energy solutions? Why or why not?
I absolutely would. I've lived in this tiny house almost 4 years, and I use the solar panels and the Titan and Point Zero Energy exclusively. And I haven't really had any major worries about it other than that small breaker issue, which is natural, I think, natural wear and tear in a product. And so I don't worry about power at all. I love the fact that I'm aware of how much power I'm using, because when I plug something in, I can see the numbers change on the display panel. And I like that. I like understanding what power works, where it's flowing to, what it's doing. And so Point Zero Energy has definitely made it easy for me to live with the sun as my power source.
That's great. Are there any future projects or expansions you're considering with your Point Zero Energy products?
The only thing I might do, I think, is add on extra batteries, maybe one more for the winter time. But I can go, several days with the batteries that I have, but it might be nice to have one more with the long winter nights and days that we have in Utah.
Yeah, just give yourself a little extra cushion.
Right.
What in your tiny home does the Titan power your home for?
Well, it provides power for everything. So we've got the lights, basic lights, ceiling fan. We've got hair dryer, air fryer, microwave, air conditioning units. What else do we have? Let me look around. Fridge. New fridge is a big one. And my laundry machine powers that too. So all of those things are taken care of by the power from the sun and from Point Zero Energy.
That's awesome. What advice would you give to others considering a similar transition to solar power for their homes?
I think it's smart and wise to understand the usage that you're going to have in your home of your power. Are you going to have a giant AC unit? Are you going to have a swamp cooler? Like, what are you going to have? I find that my fridge is kind of a power hog, and the air fryer. And so those two things are important for me to have running consistently and reliably. I think if you make a list of what you're going to run in your house, you can figure out how many batteries you need, what usage that you're going to do, and so you can have a system that will take care of your house, whether it be a tiny house or a larger traditional home.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kenzie.
Thank you. This has been fun.